Merry Christmas. No, I'm not gonna sound happy. Today I'm talking about the live action Grinch movie. I don't like it. There. Alright, fine. I'm not gonna do you like that. It's Christmas. I should at least give you a full Christmas review, like a Christmas related review. It's just that I don't want to because it's Christmas. I want to go have fun and open my presents. I don't want to, talk about the live action Grinch, but it is Christmas. It is the giving season, so I will at least give you a quick review of the live action Grinch movie. Just to get this out of the way, I don't really hate this movie. I guess I just don't really like it. I know people out there say, oh, this is a great Christmas movie. Just fine. You can like whatever you want. It's just for me, I was never really into this movie. And even as a kid, I didn't even like this movie. And just to make it clear, I used to play this garbage when I was a kid. As you can tell, I didn't really have high standards when I was younger. However, I still watch this movie, I think every December, because I used to watch ABC Family's 25 Days of Christmas, and they would always play this movie. And I guess as a kid, I just assumed, well, it has to be good because they play it every year, but I didn't really like it. But what I really did like was the original book and Christmas special, especially this one. This one is one of my favorite Christmas specials of all time. It perfectly encapsulates the whole story of the book and the spirit of the book, and it's just so great. But this movie just never could. It can never live up to these two things. And why is that? Well, let me tell you. I guess for one thing about this movie that I don't like is the story. It's the it does have the basic Grinch story. The Grinch hates Christmas, so he steals all the Christmas stuff from the Who's, and then, spoiler alert, he finds out what the true meaning of Christmas is and returns all their stuff and joins them in their Christmas celebration. That whole shebang, which is great. However, this movie only does that in the last act, the last third of it. Most of the movie, the first two acts, the first 2/3, whatever, I'm not repeating myself, but basically it's just a bunch of pointless stuff that the story doesn't need. It adds this whole subplot about Cindy Lou trying to find out what the meaning of Christmas is, and apparently there's a backstory to the Grinch. It's not like he's just a grumpy guy who hates the loud sounds that they make. No, it's just they were mean to him as a kid, and so he left them, stuff like that. And I guess there was someone who had the hots for the Grinch when they were younger. I don't know what that was about. It was kind of creepy, to be honest. But yeah, it's just a bunch of pointless stuff that kind of ruins it for me. This is a pretty simple and short story, and that's why I think the special perfectly, told it, because it was a special. It was only 22 to 30 minutes. It told the entire story in a short, limited time, which is really what it needs for this level of book. It's not a complicated book. It's not like Moby Dick, like Charles Dickens, It's just a simple Dr. Seuss book. And, it's just that. But this movie, to fill up the runtime, it just had to add a bunch of pointless garbage, which is really unnecessary. And now, let's talk about the characters, because man, this movie sure does have characters. They're not really good ones, but they're characters. Alright, but let's be real now. Let's talk about the Who's, because the Who's are some of the worst people in this movie. They are terrible, and this is coming from the movie where the main character is literally the Grinch. This guy, he's supposed to be the worst one, but no, it's the Who's, and I really hate them to the point where I was kind of rooting for the Grinch. It's just not what I'm supposed to do. I'm not supposed to be rooting for him, but I was. I was saying, yeah, I hope their Christmas got stolen, because they were terrible people. Alright, first, they were mean to the Grinch, and I hate that the fact that the Who's are terrible people in this, because the whole point was that the Grinch was supposed to be the terrible person. They were supposed to be the nice people. And especially, spoiler alert for the movie, when Cindy Lou had to teach them what the true meaning of Christmas was after their stuff got stolen and they were all sad, I was like, what? Why? They're supposed to already know. That's what helps the lesson. It's the Grinch that's supposed to learn, not them. I really don't like that, and they all look awful, to be honest. They look really creepy. Yeah, they look cute in the storybook, but that's because it's a drawing. In this, it's real life, and it looks really creepy. Their noses and everything. It's kind of weird. And oh man, and the Grinch, played by Jim Carrey. Look, I love Jim Carrey. I think he's a great comedian. I think he's a great actor. The problem is, he just doesn't really fit the Grinch role in this movie. He acts too much like a wacky cartoon character. In fact, he's actually more of a cartoon character than the actual cartoon character. Because, the whole point of the Grinch is that he's supposed to be just, a grumpy guy who hates Christmas. In this one, he's just like that. And it's just, really silly. I will admit one thing is his makeup does look pretty good. Like, they put a lot of effort into that costume and it works pretty well. And although I don't like Jim Carrey acting like a wacky cartoon character, I will give him credit for that he does actually perform really well in that costume. Like, it doesn't look like he's being restrained by it. He actually is able to move quite a lot, even though I don't want him to, but he does, and it's pretty cool that he's able to work with that costume, which is pretty great. But besides that, yeah, the Grinch is not really portrayed well in this movie, and the Who's, yeah, they're terrible. And now, the final point I want to make on why I don't like this movie that much is, well, yes, it does involve a comparison to the book, and you're probably annoyed by me always comparing this movie to this, and you're probably thinking, oh, you should look at it as its own thing, and I probably should. The thing is, I don't want to, because, like, I love Dr. Seuss's work. I love most of his books and his drawings and his rhymes. They're just so much fun, and I know you're thinking, it's like, David, that's a children's book. Why are you thinking so highly of it? And you're right, it is a book intended for kids, but it's not one of those kids things where you look back on it and say, oh yeah, that's pretty bad. That's really only intended for children. This is generally fun to look back on. Like, the rhymes are fun, the drawings are cute, and I just love Dr. Seuss's aesthetic, you know, his style. It makes it so much fun to look back on. And, you know, if I ever have kids, I'll totally introduce them to this. Like, I will read this to them, and I think they would definitely like it. However, this movie, I just don't like it because it doesn't capture the Dr. Seuss style, the Dr. Seuss, you know, spirit. It just really doesn't. Like, there's a bunch of stupid things in it. Like, there's a scene where, like, the Grinch causes an explosion in Whoville, like a Michael Bay style explosion, and, like, a scene where he tricks, like, the mayor into kissing Max, like, the dog's butt. And then the funniest scene is when he lands on a woman's, well, we'll say chest for now. And I'm sure, yeah, that was definitely something Dr. Seuss was planning for this book. Like, that was like a deleted drawing or something. They just didn't have time to put it in, and then they put it, like, you know, joking aside, you get what I'm saying. I just don't like this movie because it doesn't, you know, capture the Dr. Seuss style that I love, and it just doesn't feel like a Dr. Seuss property to me, and maybe that's the thing that disappoints me the most. And overall, that's kind of all I have to say about this movie. I don't think it's the worst movie ever. I don't even think it's the worst Christmas movie I've ever seen. I just genuinely don't like it. As a Dr. Seuss fan, I just don't think it's that good. But I know there's people out there who genuinely like this movie, and that's great. You can like whatever you like. That's cool about opinions. Sometimes one person can see a pile of garbage, but another person can see a diamond. So, like whatever you like. And I hope you have a great Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever. Just happy holidays. Now, excuse me, I just got a present in the mail, and I can't wait to open it. This is Nickelodeon Dance for the Wii.